Commonwealth's attorney wants to sort it out. The simplest thing is, if we're going to be responsible, let's just make sure that we're fine.
We're recording a conversation also. Just figure I'd let you know beforehand.
Okay. Is there a way that you actually don't need to let me know?
Yeah, just as a courtesy, though. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're in a public location.
Yeah.
So that's not a problem. I just want to make sure.
Is there a way that we can have that conversation sometime in the future and settle that?
I can ask my Commonwealth's attorney to take a rule on that, because depending on which way you read that law, you can go one of both ways. The simple thing is, the last group that we dealt with about a week and a half ago.
That would be us.
This is the same group?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, it's actually
there's another group coming here today.
Yeah,
BCDL is not the group.
We're also BCDL.
Okay, it was Open Carry Virginia, I believe.
You're allowed to belong to two groups.
Actually, well,
I'm not a member of VCDL, but I'm the founder organizer of the Right to Bear Arms Richmond, Virginia, which was the last group that was here.
Okay,
last
so
Saturday.
you're the one who dealt with Scott Patterson's
Yes, sir.
car. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, so
some of the members here are part of the Richmond, Virginia group, and some are not, and some are part of both.
Welcome to Alexandria.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you guys treated them very well last week, so appreciate that.
I mean, this whole thing started because in an urban area, as you know, the conversation when it starts to deal with firearms, further out, a firearm is just a tool. It's like learning a plow or some other implement.
Amen.
In an urban environment, it's often viewed as more of a means.
Sure.
And the question then becomes, well, what's the intent behind the person with the means versus the fact that it's just a tool?
And that's the education that we'd like to expand.
Right. Well, yeah, that can be an uphill battle in certain environments, as you understand.
So far, this one has been great.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's it is quite the conversation piece, because people will right away do one of two things, and you'll kind of understand what the feeling is on guns. They'll recoil or they'll engage, and because it's conversation. It's like having an artifact in your home. Hey, where'd that come from? And then you go from there. And so from that, take the time to educate people. Don't be surprised if you get the full spectrum of responses. If any of those responses approach something that you feel,
Escalating.
Escalating on your part, because obviously, an argument is not. This is not. You don't bring a firearm to settle an argument. You brought a firearm to start a discussion. So
well, actually, I brought a firearm because it's my right to self-defense anywhere I am by the Constitution.
And there's that.
Right. Yeah.
There's that also.
It has nothing to do with starting a conversation.
Right, but the point being, however, is that what your purpose here is education. So that's what I meant by you bringing here to start the conversation about why the guns. Well, is our right to carry guns.
Well, that's why, like the rule about the arm, about the loaded. That's a conversation that I think we need to take another step.
Sure.
Yeah, if there's a question about it.
Because you guys have been corrected on some important things, and we would like to be corrected if we're wrong. We're pretty sure about this one.
Yeah. Well, in the case
about having a loaded.
And it's the same way in Richmond also. We would like to clear that up for all of Virginia that's a part of those areas too.
Here, sir, that's my card. In your hand, let me give you my card.
Yeah, let me get a card too. Are you lieutenant also?
No, I'm a captain.
Captain?
It's just I'm wearing this is the outer jacket because it's cold out here.
So you're higher than Carr and Patterson.
Patterson actually works for me.
Oh, okay. And I let Patterson know that at least my group was going to be here today.
Yes, and also the
if you have a concealed permit,
The issue with the Commonwealth attorney is that he also
But they need to understand that.
advised the Alexandria Police Department they
I would
could
rather
put that
settle
sign up on their door.
You're mistaking the city attorney with the Commonwealth.
Okay.
And it's better to be right before you get to
His job is to represent this jurisdiction in court. Absolutely matters. The city attorney, or the office of the city attorney, the person you're talking about, George, is a staff person, or is one of your attorneys who works in the city attorney's office. The city attorney is Jim Banks.
Okay. Which one is now corrected in their position about that sign on the door?
Yeah, who was it that got on that phone call and said we're not going to do that?
Well, the person in the phone call was George McAndrews. Jim Banks is the city attorney who's appointed by council. I'll let Jim answer for that.
McAndrews, what did
To come up with clear language, because there are parts of the building that public can't get.
the secure.
We understand that.
Right, and so what we're trying to do is just make sure that we combine both awareness and common sense. So, is there anyone else here who's a? You said you're from a Richmond group. We've got different groups. I'd like to give my card to as many people who are
People
interested.
from all over the state.
I'm a new member, but I live in Woodbridge, so I'll
Oh,
take
okay.
Your position is?
I'm a captain, sir.
I have a neighbor that's an Alexandria police guy. Thank you.
And we were, as far as the right to bear arms, we were going to pass out flyers, but unfortunately our printer didn't work, so we couldn't get any flyers. But we're going to try to, after this meeting, we're going to try to engage, the public with conversation, not be pushy, obviously. If I go up to her and I say, all we're about is just constitutional rights, she says, thank you, and walks away, then we just walk away.
Right.
If, conversation starts.
I mean, this conversation's been had at the national level and the regional level,
Has
at
the
many
question
times.
been posed as to who or what group might have been responsible for
Well, thank you also for
issuing
being professional and all that.
both the flyer and the sign in the first place? In other words, who woke up one morning and said, I think we need to do this?
It was the Richmond Right to Bear Arms group that came up from Richmond. But
I called in the very beginning of November, and I said I want to do a Nova walk on December 6th in Alexandria, and I got in hold of Steve Carr, Lieutenant Steve Carr, and that's what started the whole conversation. And apparently a couple days before, I guess, we came up on the 6th, APD passed out the flyers, and that's what spurred it all was, and I'm not trying to say, hey, look at me, it's my group who started it. I'm just giving the history of, how it's a conversation that needed to happen, and I'm glad that it's
I gotta
happening.
say, that's not the first Freedom Walk kind of event we've had here.
Oh, really?
No, yeah, it's not. And we've had single members of various open carry groups who have been just open carrying, and of course that'll start conversations, and that's where the education part comes.
Is this the first one you'll pass out a flyer?
Well, in this one, this is the first one that had generated outside interest, wondering, a lot of inquiries. What's this about? What does this mean? And when you recognize that there's a gap in knowledge, you try to fill. You try to let them know, hey, this is legal. And as you know, and as we all know, the range. When you go to the Code of Virginia and look at the range that governs the possession and carrying of weapons, that's a convoluted set of sections. If you were to print them all off, it goes like this.
But if so people that are involved in it heavily, that stake their freedom on it, because you guys can arrest us and we can go to jail for a long time. Studying it
Not for open carry.
Right. No, but we care about what the law is, so we're dedicated to studying it. You guys, how often do you have to deal with the issue of somebody carrying a rifle in Alexandria? So
That's pretty rare.
A precursory glance at it, yes, but trust us to have the conversation with you from the perspective of having delved into it deeply. Many conversations, many legal consultations.
Carry a firearm.
At least hear us out.
Shall not be
It's
infringed.
not that difficult. It's pretty clear cut. I understand at a glance, but as soon as if you just engage in a conversation with it and look at it, it's not that complicated. It's very clear cut. For instance, about the loaded, it says unless you have a CHP, and then it doesn't matter.
CHP, military, police, the police, military, and their official duties. If you got a CHP, the law says you're exempted. It's pretty cut and dry right there in the statute.
Right.
That's why I don't understand why there's a question about whether it's loaded. What kind of language would the police want in the code to clarify that I can carry my AR with 30 rounds loaded?
Because the General Assembly has already put that in the code.
Right. Well, let me put that from my point of view. All right, just so you understand. My job is to just ensure the safety of everybody. And like everyone else in the community that I work in, more often than not. Thank you. Sorry. A firearm is a means. Well, it's one of those things where when somebody starts drifting behind your peripheral vision, it's one of those safety moments.
We got you covered.
Okay.
Marketer, I'm interested.
You're more than covered.
It's the apron, isn't it? It's the apron.
It's the again, up here, a firearm is a means, and when you start to wonder what's going on, there's no way to just look at somebody and understand their intent. You've got to kind of start to get a set of ideas what that intent is based on actions, anything that's demonstrable based on your training and experience that exhibits things. What I see here looks a whole lot more like, to me, an open carry walk. There's nothing here that suggests criminal intent. And I think we can go down all these various rabbit holes and little
again,
behaviors here and there. Well, hang on. Here's my point: is that the thing with the whether or not the weapon is loaded, I can't look at you and know you have a CCW.
But you didn't ask, is it loaded or do you have a CHP? You expressed that you're not sure
care
of the
whether we
nuance
have
of
a
that rule.
Well, I tell you this: if it's unloaded,
Then it doesn't matter.
because right, there's no evidence you're carrying a concealed weapon to me, so that's not part of my conversation. When I look at you, you're overtly, openly carrying a weapon.
Okay,
so
but-
CHP doesn't apply.
So if I show
on
you my
side.
CHP, that
See-
the General Assembly put into the law,
Right,
simply
you show me your
CHP,
CHP.
then I can put my loaded magazine in.
And we're obliged,
Correct.
if you demand our
Well,
CHP.
I would have to ask my common attorney that question, but how about we do this?
I always thought it was
Since the
CCP.
overriding premise of everyone here is that we are all responsible gunners. I own firearms, everyone here owns a firearm. There's a lot more firearm owners in the city than I think that everyone realizes. There's a lot of them. Thank you. For the record, I didn't request this.
No,
Okay.
I showed it to him because by law, I have to be in a CHP holder. Let me give you my license so you can verify who I am with it.
But see, we're obliged to provide you our CHP and driver's license and government ID, picture ID on demand. But we're not obliged to show you that our rifles are unloaded.
Well, here's the thing: is that when you see a set of facts that could or could not be criminal, save for an intervening fact.
Okay, but can we stray from what seems to make sense and stick with the boundaries that are established in the legislation? The legislation says that he can have a
No,
wherever everybody is.
Yep.
He can have a loaded rifle if he has a CHP, and you shouldn't be approaching people out of the blue without suspicion of a crime, blah blah blah, committed, about to be committed, etc. So it would be more appropriate to ask the gentleman, do you have a CHP? Because we're required to provide that.
yes,
But
and that's in line with your duties in enforcing the law. You got to know someone has a CHP. The only way you're going to know is ask for it, and that is
Now, I'm not
that's
suggesting
acceptable.
that you harass us if you see somebody concealed, that you ask everybody if they have a CHP. But regarding the rifle thing, the 30 round, there's an exception for the CHP, which you're not even sure on. And I'm willing to wait for you guys to work that out. But that is it's a cut and dry black and white.
It's also in the code. When I go hunting, I intentionally carry that book and have it open.
Yeah.
So now since I've demonstrated I have a CHP,
I used to have one of those.
you identified who I am by my driver's license and my CHP.
Right.
So by Virginia statute, I'm legal to carry a loaded magazine in my weapon, correct?
Try it out.
Well, I would.
Richmond City.
Richmond City, sir, which I forward to.
I would defer. I would ask Brian Porter that question just to be sure. Because
Can I also invite you to read it for yourself? Because sometimes.
no, I read it. I understand why. That's why there's the question. Did they mean to specifically exempt CCW permitted persons from the requirement or from the?
CHP.
And that's exactly what the General Assembly did by adding
Okay,
that
we
language
just
into
call
the
it.
law.
It's a CCW concealed carry weapon. Or,
It's a CHP, not a
I
concealed
can't
weapon.
carry
There's
a
a difference.
knife.
Okay.
I can't carry. I can only carry my
The only
handgun.
concealed handgun
Okay.
is what that.
And see, here's all the nuances that we work on. And
And
that's
then the
always
General
with you.
all that's
Assembly,
still forbidden.
then the General Assembly took it upon themselves to include the language in the statute. Okay, we trust you to have a concealed handgun. We trust you to carry a loaded rifle. That's what the statute's saying. It says these individuals are exempt: law enforcement, military, and concealed handgun permitted people. They put it in there because they've ran my background check. They know who I am. They know what my capabilities are. So they're saying I trust military, I trust police, and I trust concealed handgun permit holders to be exempted from being able to carry that loaded rifle. That's why the General Assembly put it in there. They specifically exempted individuals, groups of individuals who they trust to carry that weapon loaded. That's why it says police in their official duties, military in their official duties, and concealed handgun permit. GA already decided that.
The problem is there are a lot of individuals and groups who don't agree with that or like that. And that's where the problem comes from.
Well, the other problem is that none of the rules necessarily make sense. They're arbitrary.
You got more people that's coming out, DNR.
Either things change and people don't keep up with it. or they don't know the nuances, they don't know the details, so they go by what makes sense to them.
Or they just don't want it that way.
Well, because to me, any gun regulation, any gun control is unconstitutional. Just for the simple fact that the Constitution says shall not be infringed. That's pretty cut and dry.
Well, then let me declare my intent, as simple as it is. I simply wanted to, I mean, and as I'm sure you'll see if you take a look back, if you were recording me as I walked up, I asked an open question. Sure. I made no demands. I've got almost a quarter-century law enforcement experience. I'm actually very good at not knowing when I can push somebody, you know, in other words, where there's no negotiating versus simply ask somebody. What I have found over the years is that these groups are much more accommodating and smart about these kinds of interactions. You guys do not, from my experience, needlessly provoke a conflict. That is not your purpose. It has never been your purpose, and I have yet to find an open carry group anywhere who that's their stated purpose, is to deliberately initiate some kind of an antagonistic conflict.
But that's what that flyer indicated by pointing out those statutes. That's what this was all about.
Right. Well, that wasn't the intent of the flyer. The intent of the flyer was to educate.
But it pointed out buildings being shot up and stuff like this. You know, so it pointed out confrontation.
So how does it work out? Who actually
about.
designed that and worded it?
That's the troubling thing.
I'm not going to be able to answer that question because it wasn't me. So, I do know what the intent was, and you know what the response has been.
Hey, Philip.
What our reply has been.
Morning, sir. Morning, sir.
How you doing?
How you doing?
Phil Van Cleve, I'm the president.
Oh, you're the one who the chief talked to. It's
Yes.
good to meet you. I'm Captain Chris Munkle.
Captain, I have security cards in there. I told the chief
Okay.
to distribute to your officers. They're really handy little cards. Virginia gun law.
Oh, there's another group.
This would be Mr.
Oh, sorry about that, sir.
I saw that it's not pronounced living, it's pronounced living. I just wanted to make sure I got that right.
That's right. I tell people
Ravens don't grow on June, but it doesn't matter.
Just point out
That's a
that
better
they're, what they put out.
Good morning, you all. A couple of you are signed up to speak. If you haven't signed up yet, when you get in there, you do have the opportunity to speak. There is a 3-minute limit for everybody. It's not just for you guys, it's for everyone, because as you will see if you stay all morning long, there are people who can, who might, for one reason or another, feel that they want to sort of hog the microphone. So in the sense of all things being equal, folks get 3 minutes to speak. The public comment period is at the very beginning of the meeting.
It looks like ice took out today. All right, so another open carry walk, freedom walk in Alexandria. We just got done eating, and we got done doing the City Hall Council meeting at Alexandria, and now we're just going to do a small little walk with just us, and you know, see how it goes and keep the pressure up. So,
What's up, baby? Yeah!
you got Steven.
Hey, what's up, homie?
And got this beautiful mug right here. So we don't have any flyers, we ran out, but we can still engage people in a peaceful manner, and it doesn't matter if we don't have flyers, we're still just exercising our constitutional rights. So there we go. We're back at the waterfront, and we just had a conversation with a Jamaican street performer that was doing the little, you know, boom, 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 drums. But you know, everything's going good, and we're about ready to stand over there again like we did last time. So, yep.